Tonight, behind a picket line, striking workers shut down the BC liquor store in Dawson Creek. Police warning, stolen quads being used to commit more crimes. And some welcome news, Puskupi helps seniors to live independently. Well, good evening and thank you for joining us. And we begin tonight with the ongoing BC Public Employees Strike. Today, the BC liquor store in Dawson Creek behind a picket line as job action escalates once again. BCGEU President Paul Finch says 77 liquor stores across the province, including Dawson Creek, are now behind picket lines. However, the liquor store in Fort St. John remains open. Finch announced earlier today that the province reached out to go back to the bargaining table. He says job action escalated to liquor stores on Monday to push for this very outcome.
Do you understand that there is an enhanced wage offer, or we would not be going back to the table? Our expectation is it's something that meets the needs of our members.
When asked why new picket lines were added today, if the government is in fact coming back to the bargaining table, the union did not provide an answer. Finch says service workers in the Dawson Creek area who were striking remotely can now join a picket line. There are currently more than 15,000 public service workers engaged in job action across the province. Now, to an ongoing issue in Dawson Creek, RCMP say they're currently investigating a number of cases involving stolen quads. The police say they're working on several files in which suspects break into yards of industrial areas or homes to steal the vehicles. Investigators say it's hard for officers to chase the stolen quads when they use off-road trails, adding they're often used to commit more thefts. Mounties add they've recovered 2 stolen quads and 1 snowmobile just in the past 24 hours. They say areas like the dangerous goods route or the intersection of Highway 49 and Collins Roads are some hotspots for suspicious activity related to the quads. And police are warning residents to secure their off-road vehicles out of sight and to contact the RCMP if witnessing overnight quad activity. A 50-year-old man from Fox Creek has died in an ultralight plane crash near Grand Prairie. The Transportation Safety Board says the man was pronounced dead at the scene. The crash occurred Thursday afternoon near the hamlet of Grovedale. Environment Canada says there was some rain and light wind in the area at the time of the crash. Further details are expected to be released following the investigation. The village of Puskupi has announced new initiatives to support seniors who are living independently. The Seniors Support Program will begin in early October. Puskupi seniors will now have access to a meal program in which meals will be delivered to their door for $5 3 days a week. They can also access housekeeping twice a month. During the winter season, a snow removal program will also be available up to 3 times per month. Puskupi Mayor Danielle Veach says these programs are just another step toward helping seniors live safely in their own homes. The Premier took questions from delegates today at the Union of British Columbia Municipalities in Victoria. David Eby was asked about investments in housing, education, and the climate crisis. And the Premier was also pressed about crime and public safety, which has been a hot topic during the 5-day convention in Victoria. Eby says the province is pushing the federal government to address repeat property crime with bail and criminal code reforms that could be coming next month.
Nothing can be more corrosive to a downtown or to business confidence or others when it just feels like there's just total impunity with respect to shoplifting or crimes against businesses in the community. It's like we just can't, like when people just walk out the door and it's the same person and we know they were arrested before and we called the police and then they're back. And so this is the message we're delivering to the federal government. I know you've been delivering to the federal government, but I think we can all contact our MPs and make sure that that property crime aspect is included as well in the broader reforms.
Eby's appearance marks the conclusion of the UBCM conference. Well, a BC Conservative staffer is facing backlash over comments made after party MLAs raised the survivor flag at the legislature in Victoria today. Lindsay Shepherd, a communications aide, took to social media to call the gesture, quote, fake and a disgrace. The flag is meant to honor those impacted by residential schools ahead of Orange Shirt Day this Tuesday. Shepherd's comments echo rhetoric used by Dallas Brody, a former Conservative MLA who was booted from the party back in March for mocking survivors. Well, now pressure is mounting for all Conservative MLAs to speak out and stop this kind of denialism from within their own caucus. The Canadian Food Inspection Agency says the ongoing delay in the cull of ostriches at a BC farm presents potential animal and human health risks. Despite this, the agency says it'll continue to feed the 300-plus birds on the farm in southeastern British Columbia using feed provided by Universal Ostrich Farm's regular suppliers. The agency also says it's identified one ostrich on site with compromised health, but it hasn't said what is wrong with the bird. The Supreme Court of Canada issued a last-minute stay on the destruction of the animals earlier this week. The cull was ordered after an outbreak of avian flu broke out at the farm last December. Thousands of postal workers across Canada are on the picket lines in response to changes made by the federal government. It's the second time in less than a year Canada Post employees have walked off the job. The abrupt halt to mail service was a surprise to many Canadians. CTV's Rachel Aiello has the latest.
Thousands of postal workers are on strike. The trigger for the shutdown? Sweeping changes the federal government is forcing, including ending door-to-door delivery in an effort to save a struggling Canada Post.
We're striking to keep good service and to keep good jobs. We will be here until we win.
But as long as this labor disruption lasts, no new mail will be processed or delivered, with few exceptions. Meaning Canadians need to brace for delays. There's no sign Jobs Minister Patty Hajdu is ready to step in yet, saying today federal mediators remain available to support the bargaining process, and she is encouraging both parties to continue working towards a fair resolution. Yesterday, Ottawa announced it was ordering Canada Post to transition millions of addresses to community mailboxes, shutter some rural post offices, and extend delivery times for letter mail. Canada Post was getting ready to roll out these reforms, but says it's now preparing a new contract offer, while warning the strike will only worsen the Crown Corporation's dire financial situation.
We got to make the service more affordable because Canadians value it, but it's just becoming too expensive to them as taxpayers.
When these workers went on strike last year, it cost small businesses more than $1 billion, and they're now fearful of the impact that this labor disruption could have. Many of them are already treading water due to the trade war, and we're banking on the holiday shipping season to stay afloat. Rachel Aiello, CTV News, Ottawa.
New data from Stats Canada is showing the Canadian economy rebounding in July following 3 consecutive months of decline. The agency says GDP grew by 0.2% in July, manufacturing, mining, and wholesale trade boosting growth. The report comes after GDP shrank in the second quarter by 1.6% on an annualized basis. Now, a preliminary estimate for August is showing there was likely no growth that month, but a contraction was also avoided. Millions of Canadians are waiting for some sort of medical procedure, and it's a number that keeps growing according to a new report which says the backlog can no longer be blamed on the COVID-19 pandemic. CTV's Heather Wright has the details.
Even making a cup of tea is painful for Kathy Holding.
Every day you have pain. You can't avoid that.
The London, Ontario resident needs a hip replacement. Walking is hard, grocery shopping requires frequent breaks. She's booked for surgery in January, a nearly 2-year wait from when she first visited a doctor.
The levels of frustration, depression. Depression is a big one. Accepting your limitations.
Holding is part of a growing number of Canadians waiting for some sort of medical procedure. According to government data released this week by think tank secondstreet.org, 3.7 million Canadians are waiting for surgery, a diagnostic scan, or an appointment with a specialist, though the group says that figure is likely higher due to incomplete government numbers. They say the number is likely closer to 5.8 million, or 1 in every 8 Canadian.
If you're not on a wait list yourself, you probably know someone who is on a wait list. And I think Canadians are getting sick and tired of just having a system that's not working out for them and not getting them the care that they need while they're paying thousands of dollars out of their taxes for it every year.
More procedures are being performed. The Canadian Institute for Health Information says hip replacements were up 26% last year. Cataract surgeries were up 11%, and there were 16% more MRI and CAT scans. But experts say those numbers need to go up even further to get people the help they need.
And Prime Minister Mark Carney is in the UK for a summit to boost trade and economic ties, but his meeting with Canada's oldest ally sparked a friendly rivalry over one of Britain's oldest sports. CTV's Jeremy Sharon reports from London tonight.
A fourth official face-to-face with British Prime Minister Keir Starmer for Mark Carney kicked off a visit to London.
Well, it's going to be a great match.
Yep.
And we're going to disagree.
Agree to disagree.
Despite a friendly rivalry ahead of a big women's rugby match Saturday, the two leaders set their sights on shared defense priorities.
We've got Ukraine to discuss, we've got the Middle East to discuss, and thank you for the way we've been able to work together on both those issues.
Great pleasure to be together again.
The Prime Minister also met with the leaders of Iceland, Spain, and Australia.
We are partners in commerce, we're partners in culture.
We actually have pretty similar economies.
Talks that all centered around building trade and economic partnerships, an area British Ambassador Ralph Goodale says Canada and the UK can still build on.
We've got $50 billion worth of trade flowing back and forth, and it is 99% tariff and quota-free.
Canada is looking to diversify its international partnerships in the face of Donald Trump's trade war. The U.S. president leveraged new tariffs Thursday on a wide range of imported goods, including heavy-duty trucks and pharmaceuticals. Still, Carney today shied away from directly taking aim at the U.S. president.
You face special circumstances in Canada, given your neighbor to the south, and let me just apologize.
Instead, he shared with a progressive crowd at this summit how he won the April election.
So it's not engaging on the turf of the more negative agenda, but focusing on the positive.
All of it capped off with a dinner at 10 Downing Street, FaceTime with like-minded world leaders, the real focus of this trip, according to senior government officials. The Prime Minister will meet tomorrow with business leaders and investors before taking his Canadian pride to a London rugby pitch. Carney is set to attend the Women's Rugby World Cup to cheer on Canada against England in the final. Jeremy Sharon, CTV News, London.
In a defiant speech at the United Nations today, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu lashed out at countries that have officially recognized Palestine as a state, including Canada.
This week, the leaders of France, Britain, Australia, Canada, and other countries unconditionally recognized a Palestinian state. They did so after the horrors committed by Hamas on October 7th.
Netanyahu also singled out Canadian allies France, Britain, and Australia. The Israeli Prime Minister saying their leaders buckled under pressure. He said Israel must, quote, finish the job against Hamas in Gaza, unquote. Netanyahu's speech began with dozens of delegates from multiple nations walking out of the General Assembly en masse. Former FBI Director James Comey has responded to his indictment by declaring his innocence.
My heart is broken for the Department of Justice, but I have great confidence in the federal judicial system, and I'm innocent. So let's have a trial.
Comey was indicted yesterday on charges of making false statements and obstructing a congressional investigation. He's being accused of lying to Congress during testimony about Russian meddling in the 2016 election. U.S. President Trump had called on the Attorney General to more aggressively investigate people that Trump considers to be his political enemies. Now, if convicted, Comey could face up to 5 years in prison. Comey surrendered to authorities this morning. All right, please stay tuned. We'll be right back with weather after the break.